In the spring of 1968, Paris is experiencing significant cultural and political unrest. The story starts at the Cinémathèque Française, which Matthew, an American student, considers a haven for film lovers. Matthew explains that he initially came to Paris to learn French, but he discovered his real education at the Cinémathèque. He would sit in the front rows with other dedicated film enthusiasts, eager to experience the images firsthand. The story then focuses on a particular evening when the French government fires Henri Langlois, the Cinémathèque's founder. This event ignites a large protest among the city's film fans. A voice from a loudspeaker encourages the crowd to stand against the police and the government's attempt to take control of this symbol of freedom. The protesters chant that freedom must be seized, not given. Amidst the commotion, Matthew spots Isabelle, a young woman who has chained herself to the gates. Isabelle asks Matthew to remove a cigarette stuck to her lip, and he obliges. She identifies him as American and asks why he is always alone at the movies. Matthew admits he does not know anyone in the city. Isabelle calls over her twin brother, Theo, instructing him to smell Matthew because he is clean, unlike their friend Jacques. Theo arrives, and the three bond immediately over their shared knowledge of directors like Truffaut, Godard and Nicolas Ray. Matthew impresses Theo by citing Godard's quote that Nicolas Ray is cinema. The conversation is interrupted when the police charge the crowd. The group screams fascists and bastards as they flee the scene. Matthew runs with the twins, his heart pounding from both the adrenaline of the chase and an instant attraction to his new friends. Later that evening, the three walk through the streets, debating why the French cannot produce a good rock band. Isabelle realizes she forgot their sandwiches, but she offers a piece of bread to Matthew, who politely refuses until she forces him to eat it. They exchange introductions, with Matthew revealing he is from San Diego. Isabelle and Theo perform a synchronized routine, shouting New York Herald Tribune, in the style of a Jean-Luc Godard film. The following morning, Theo calls Matthew at his hotel and invites him to a home-cooked dinner rather than a restaurant. Matthew arrives at their apartment on Boulevard Saint-Germain, where Isabelle jokes that she and Theo are contagious. They enter the apartment, and the twins introduce Matthew to their mother, who is surprised because she was only cooking for two. The twins bicker violently, calling each other names until their mother silences them. Then Isabelle drags Matthew to introduce him to her father, who was working and didn't see him. Isabelle leans toward him and tells him there is a gust. Her father greets Matthew. During the meal, the father notices Matthew fidgeting with a lighter. Matthew explains his fascination with the object's geometry, noting that its length perfectly matches the diagonal of the table squares. He suggests that there is a cosmic harmony in the shapes and sizes of the world. The father is impressed, stating that while the world looks like chaos, it fits together when viewed from God's perspective. The conversation turns political. The father criticizes the student's belief that petitions and sit-ins can change society. Theo challenges him, asking if they should do nothing while immigrants are deported. The father retorts that before changing the world, one must realize they are part of it, accusing Theo of standing on the outside looking in. The argument escalates until the mother interrupts, reminding the father he needs to give the children instructions. The parents are leaving for the seaside and leave checks on the mantelpiece for the twins. After the parents go to bed, Matthew and the twins discuss the encounter. Theo dismisses his father's intellect, while Matthew admits he wishes his parents were that nice. Theo offers a cynical observation that grandparents are always nicer than parents. Matthew prepares to leave, but Isabelle invites him to stay the night in the private wing. Everything shifts when she kisses her brother for a good night, then accidentally burns her hair trying to kiss Matthew, but persists anyway before leaving. Later that night, Matthew wakes up for a pee but can't find the toilet. After a bit of search he finds one and pees in the washing sink. But things change when he tries to go back to his room. He sees the twins sleeping together naked. He is shocked but goes to his room without saying a word. The next morning, Matthew wakes up to find Isabelle removing the sleep from his eyes, a ritual she claims to do every morning. She then performs a quote from a movie, then orders him to get up in 1 minute. Matthew wakes up to see them across the room in the same toilet and wants to join them. Theo offers him a toothbrush, but Matthew says he will use his hand instead while brushing his teeth with his hand. She approaches Matthew, telling him he has beautiful, red lips and asking to touch them. She speculates that he would make a pretty girl. Matthew tries to leave for his hotel, but the twins insist he move in with them since the Cinémathèque is closed and their parents are away. Matthew is confused because they met 2 days before and they don't know each other well, but Leo insists they will get to know each other. They take a moped to retrieve his belongings. Matthew writes a letter to his mother, describing his new living situation with the children of a famous author, believing he is finally getting in with the right kind of people. Back at the apartment, the group engages in a heated debate about film comedy. Theo reads a quote comparing Buster Keaton to Charlie Chaplin, arguing that Keaton is the superior aristocrat, while Chaplin is merely a tramp, concerned with his own ego. Matthew defends Chaplin, citing the emotional final shot of City Lights. The argument is cut short when Theo snaps at Isabel for playing Janis Joplin again and again. To diffuse the tension, Isabel initiates a movie trivia game. She challenges them to name a film where someone tap dancing drives someone else crazy. Matthew correctly identifies Top Hat. This success prompts the twins to invite Matthew to participate in a stunt they have been planning. Beating the world record for running through the Louvre, as seen in the film Bonaparte. Despite Matthew's concerns about being deported if caught, they go to the museum. They sprint through the galleries, past the guards and the art. They burst out the other side, checking the stopwatch to find they beat the record by 17 seconds. Celebrating their victory, they chant one of us," referencing the film Freaks. Back at the apartment, Matthew is still confused by Theo changing his clothes in front of him. Theo, noticing this discomfort, goes to get a coffee for both of them. Matthew observes the room and finds Isabel's photos and hides in his pants when Theo knocks on the door. While hanging out in the twins' bedrooms, the trivia games continue with higher stakes. Isabel challenges Theo to identify a film featuring a chorus line and a singer in a fur coat. When he fails, Isabel reveals the answer is Blonde Venus, and calls forfeit on Theo for not knowing it. She dares Theo to masturbate in front of them, just as she claims he does when he thinks no one is watching. Theo accepts the dare and performs the act on the picture while Matthew and Isabel watch. Later, Matthew confronts Theo about the incident, questioning the nature of the twins' relationship. Theo claims he and Isabel are Siamese twins joined at the soul. Matthew admits he has sisters but never engaged in such behavior with them. The dynamic intensifies during another game. Theo asks for the film where a cross marks the spot of a murder. Matthew fails to answer Scarface in time. Theo quickly announces the forfeit. Matthew must make love to Isabel in front of him. Theo specifies they must do it in the spare room under the Delacroix painting. Matthew is speechless, but Isabel accepts the forfeit. And starts to undress herself in front of them. But Matthew runs for the bathroom, refusing the challenge. Theo runs after him and finds him in his hiding spot, tells him to get out, and forces him to do their dare. Matthew initially refuses, but Isabel goads him, questioning if he finds her hateful. She accuses him of spying on them previously. Then finds her picture in his panties. Matthew faints in Theo's hands. Theo wakes him up, and finally, Matthew agrees. Matthew is gentle, and they consummate the act while Theo watches, cooking an egg to give them privacy. After they finish, Matthew finds out this was her first time and breaks down in tears. The following morning, Isabel and Matthew lie in bed. Isabel asks Matthew not to open the door, wanting to stay inside their bubble. She calls Matthew her first lover, but then clarifies that while Theo has never been physically inside her, he is always inside her. Matthew asks what she would do if their parents discovered their lifestyle. Isabel states matter-of-factly that she would kill herself. Matthew goes to the kitchen and gets honey. He feels grateful, as if he now belongs with Theo and Isabel. However, Theo rejects Matthew's sentiment, emphasizing that he and Isabel are a pair and that Matthew doesn't fit in. Isabel comes in with a terrible meal of fondue and ratatouille, made from leftover scraps. Theo refuses to even try it. Matthew attempts to eat it, but the taste is so bad that he throws up. They then realize they've spent all of their parents' money and have no food left. Theo finds food in the trash and brings it back inside. Time passes, and the apartment gets dirtier. They eat very little, even sharing a single banana between the three of them at one point. Theo's friends visit, criticizing him for giving up on his political activism, but he doesn't listen. Tensions reach a breaking point in the bathroom. Theo expounds on a theory from Cahiers du Cinéma that filmmakers are voyeurs, comparing a camera to a keyhole peering into a parent's bedroom. He laments that his parents never closed their door, ruining his voyeuristic potential. Isabel and Theo decide to prove their love for Matthew by shaving him. They approach him in the bath with shaving cream and a razor. Matthew realizes they intend to shave his pubic hair to make him look like a prepubescent boy. He explodes in anger, shouting that they are crazy. He stops the game and lectures them. He forces them to look at their own codependency, pointing out that they sleep, bathe, and use the toilet together. He tells them they will never grow up if they keep clinging to each other. Matthew turns to Isabel and challenges her to go on a real date with him, just the two of them, without Theo. Isabel accepts. Matthew and Isabel go to a movie theater. Isabel starts to go to the front row, but Matthew stops her and takes her to the back row, where couples usually sit. They watch a musical together, sharing popcorn and enjoying a typical romantic moment. Upon returning to the apartment, Matthew faces one last obstacle, Isabel's bedroom. He suddenly realizes he's never been inside. Isabel attempts to prevent him from entering, But Matthew is determined to see it, and she eventually relents. Inside, he's struck by the room's shrine-like atmosphere, and he experiences a strong emotional reaction. Meanwhile, Isabel hears a song coming from Matthew's room and demands he leave immediately. This intrusion destroys the fragile peace they had established. Later, Theo goes to get some wine, and the two of them drink wine. Theo rants about Maoism, viewing the Chinese Cultural Revolution as a great epic movie with millions of extras. Matthew, drunk, snaps at Theo. He dismantles Theo's revolutionary fantasy, pointing out that in Theo's movie, everyone is an extra parroting the same book. Matthew calls Theo a hypocrite who buys the costumes and posters of revolution but stays inside drinking expensive wine instead of fighting on the street. In a drunken state, Theo chokes Matthew while Matthew is trying to explain. Isabel then comes in from the back and invites them to a room. There, three of them sleep together as chaos erupts outside. She makes clothes as both of them fall asleep. Isabel wakes up in the middle of the night. She looks at her brother and Matthew sleeping. She whispers, "I love you," to Theo, and he sleepily replies. She asks if it is forever, and he agrees. Despondent and seeking to seal their bond eternally, the next morning, their parents came home and found the house messy and the children asleep. The mother called for the father to come and see. Silently, the father wrote a note and left it where the children would find it. Isabel wakes up early and is shocked to find a check. She looks around, but no one is there. Realizing her parents aren't present, she decides to kill them. She disconnects the gas line in the kitchen and heads to their bedroom. Suddenly, a cobblestone smashes through the window, breaking the glass. The outside world has broken in. Tear gas fills the apartment, snapping them out of their suicidal state. They hear students chanting outside. The three run downstairs and into the street, which has transformed into a war zone of police and rioters. Theo is ecstatic, calling it wonderful violence. Matthew is horrified, screaming that this is fascism and that the violence is wrong. Theo and Isabel hurry to the battle. Theo picks up a Molotov cocktail. Matthew attempts to stop them, begging Isabel to remain with him. Isabel glances at Matthew, then at Theo, and chooses to go with her brother. She and Theo vanish into the mob of rioters, throwing fire at the police. Matthew is left by himself, walking away from the revolution, while the twins are consumed by the chaos they had previously admired from a distance. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.